How would you sum up last night?
Uh, I don't know if dominant would be the word I'd use, but a pretty convincing win overall by the Celtics. I mean, that game one, I think they needed a game like that. That was just the second game they've played in these playoffs, Dan, where they've had to play some clutch time minutes like they did down the stretch in regulation and overtime. And that's kind of been the story of this Celtics season. Like they have one of the largest point differentials in NBA history during the regular season. They've largely cruised through a lot of these games in the playoffs. They needed some kind of, like kind of a sharpening game, if you will. And I think they got that in game one. Then they came out in game two. And yeah, Indiana had some moments, where they played well, but really from start to finish, this was a game the Celtics completely controlled.
Is it fair? This seems like it's almost a national pastime of the national media and their opinion, criticisms of the Boston Celtics, that they have been incredibly successful up to a point, and then they can't win that title. But they had a historical season. What they've done since 2017 should be applauded, but they have to win. So the national media's role in all of this, in kind of piling on the Celtics, how does that feel to you?
I think it's fair to a degree because they haven't won that championship. I do think you have to look at each of these seasons, and you really go back to, the 2017-18 season, Jason Tatum's first year in the NBA, and that's where it kind of all begins. And, they've been to a lot of conference finals, but how many of them do you think they should have won, right? Like last year, I think is the one year where you can say this team underachieved. To not be able to beat Miami in a conference finals, that was a letdown. This year, looking at the rest of the field, if they don't win a championship, it is a disappointment. It is underachieving. So I understand the criticism to an extent, but last year, unquestionably the one year that they should have done more. And this year, if they can't win the whole thing, and it doesn't really matter who they play out of the Western Conference, Dallas, Minnesota, it will be viewed as a failure, and I think rightfully so.
Yeah, just trying to figure this out, that sometimes I don't know if we looked at the Bulls with Michael Jordan and the degree of difficulty of what they so-called went through. You went through a banged-up Lakers team. Was Seattle a great team? Were the Utah Jazz a great team? The Phoenix Suns were an older team. But I don't think we look back and go, well, but Jordan, but we will do that to LeBron. Like, well, he won in the bubble. Well, last I looked, everybody played in the bubble. But we kind of pick and choose with certain topics here. And I think the Celtics, what they've done has been pretty incredible. And if they don't win, I mean, they're going to get a sigh of relief, it feels like. It's like when the Dodgers won the World Series with Dave Roberts, Clayton Kershaw. It's like, whew, it feels that way for this Celtic team. And I don't know if we're being fair to them.
I think, Dan, if the Celtics win a championship this year, all the things that they've been kind of criticized for up until this point will now almost become praiseworthy, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like they've got the championship and they've got the 6 trips to the conference finals. Like, look at this unprecedented level of success. Look at how this team has been able to win at or near the highest level every year. You'll start talking about like 6 conference finals, 2 trips to the NBA finals, 1 championship. Like all of a sudden, the narrative they're getting slapped around with, that they're good enough to get to a certain point, but not good enough to win, that Tatum and Brown are good enough to be a great regular season team, but maybe not good enough to win a championship. All that will be gone. It will be part of a broader story where, it's like this team has gone through the necessary steps to get there. And now this could be the beginning of a new Celtics dynasty.
Yeah, it's like the Braves in the 90s. They could get to the World Series, but they can never win.